Bang, we're live. Welcome back to Hydro and Co. The second episode since we've been back on our return. But tonight is a magical night in the NFL season, and it's the eve before the first full set of Sunday games. Um, we got a full jam-packed schedule. You can see the boys there enjoying some brewskis. Getting ready already. 12 about We're about 24 hours away from Monday night or Sunday night football. We're already getting started early, but today we're going to be talking about a couple things. We're going to start with Thursday night football, and then we're really just going to be talking about the games that are on Sunday and just trying to get this out quick. So if you want to fade any of our picks, you know what we're picking. So let's start with Thursday night. 21-20 win for the Detroit Lions. I don't think a win many people saw coming. Kendall saw it coming because he hates the Chiefs. He was picking against them the whole time. But it was a win that Dan Campbell and the Detroit Lions definitely saw coming. If you saw their post game conference in the locker room, so ultimately, really solid game to start the year off. Don't you all agree? I think that was a pretty competitive game to start the year off. It wasn't like it was a blowout. And
Yeah, it wasn't a flag fest either.
yeah, that's one thing I really did. And I noticed probably about halfway through the second quarter, I was like, there's not been one flag thrown, and it was like refreshing to see. Now, there should have been a lot more flags thrown. Uh, we can talk about that here in just a second. But there's a lot of takeaways from this game. Players that did play, players that didn't play, at Chris Jones, at Travis Kelsey, that made impacts or didn't make an impact. I think one of the first things that I'll go ahead and say that I noticed was the Chiefs' defense looked fine for about three quarters without Chris Jones. And then again, the Lions have a top five or four or five offensive line in the league based on who you talk to. And eventually they wore that front down and they were able to get really good rushes on that defensive front for the Chiefs. But if I'm Chris Jones, I did not like watching that because if you're arguing for a new contract and the team you're playing for is doing just fine without you, that could be an issue. But what do y'all think about the game on Thursday night?
Here's my biggest takeaway. Talking about the Chiefs, like leading into it, everybody's like, "Oh, they don't have Kelsey, they don't have Chris Jones, but they still have Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes," which is true. Obviously, they do, but everybody's saying they still got those two. They're still an elite team. Whatever, they're gonna win. Then after the game, Mike Tirico, I don't know if y'all heard, but he was like, "There's an asterisk next to this win," and I'm sitting there like, "No, there's not." Like I know they didn't have two of their best players, but the Lions still won the game, and you can't sit there and say, "Oh, they still got Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes," and then turn around after the game and be like, "Oh, well, it doesn't. There's an asterisk next to it. It doesn't really count full." So I don't know how him and other people can sit here and say that.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense really because I feel like teams go without their top two players, two of their top three
Yeah.
players all the time. Like
Yep.
that's just like that'd be like the Saints losing tomorrow and being like, "Well, Kamara's suspended, so we're putting an asterisk next to that one." Like, no,
Well,
like
and
you lose or you win with the players that you have in the building. That's how it goes.
you know how much I hate Justin Herbert. I'm just going to use this as an example. Like, there's a few people that agree with me on the fact that he hasn't done as much in his career as that equals the hype that he gets. So some people be like, he's just got to get the job done when it's Herbert, but when it's Mahomes, oh, he didn't have his players out there. So it's like, I don't know, just hold the same standard.
Yeah. I didn't watch the game because I fell asleep at halftime. But from what I've seen, Kadarius Tony, the memes that have been floating around the internet have been awesome because I hate that guy. That guy, you know, you know how it goes in February whenever we lost. Broke my heart. So glad to see him fail. Fuck the Chiefs. I'm right there with you, Kendall. Yeah,
Bang!
fuck them. Their ass. I hope they lose every game. But I mean, sure they didn't have Travis Kelsey on offense, and yeah, he was Patrick Mahomes was throwing to wide receivers with porn star names, but at the end of the day, Travis Kelsey is just a temporary fix, in my opinion, to a bigger issue for this team because other than Travis Kelsey, who they have, like in all honesty, that's like consistent, and they don't have anybody. But you can sit there and you can say that he overcame it last year, yada yada yada. But at some point, it won't work out, and I feel like this could be the year. Good on the Lions for winning. Helps the Raiders out in the division.
Hell yeah.
So yeah, hell yeah, dude.
We got we got all those aspirations of winning the division this year.
You have a chance.
The only way you can do it is if other teams lose.
We're above the Chiefs right now. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, and every team waking up tomorrow has a dream of becoming 17-0, except for one team, and that's the Chiefs, because the Chiefs have already lost.
And the Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah, the Cardinals are going to be ass. They're going to go over.
Starting Josh Dobbs.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I didn't watch it just because I was tired. I was really tired, and hurt my heart when I saw the banner get revealed. Should have probably waited a little bit longer to watch the game, but fuck the Chiefs. That's what I'm going to say.
Hell yeah.
I'm going to say one last thing, kind of piggybacking off what Chase said in a different way.
Fuck the Chiefs?
No, I'm not saying fuck the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs are going to be okay. I don't think they're going to have many games where they drop 6 passes like that again, especially with Kelsey back. I feel like that added pressure of having Kelsey not in the lineup, those guys weren't ready for that. They just weren't. You could tell. Like, they're all guys that have been either they're fresh to the league or they've been 2, 3, 4th receiving options. And now they're having to be the guy. That's a lot of pressure to put on somebody. But I think that they're going to be okay in terms of I don't see them dropping 6 passes again. And in all reality, if they would have caught 3 to 4 of those balls instead of dropping them, the result would have been different. Chiefs probably would have won that game. And there were some bright spots. Sky Moore's terrible. I don't know what you do there. I think he was worse than Tony, honestly. Rashee Rice looked pretty decent. I think him and MVS are your top 2 options going into next week. But MVS was essentially, and Kendall, you watched the game the whole time, so you definitely saw it. About halfway through the first half, MVS just seemed to be quiet because he was the number 1 receiver on the field. And he doesn't have the ability to run routes to get open like that. He's not that kind of receiver. When Kelsey gets back and he's drawn a double team and he's got a safety and a linebacker shading on him, MVS is going to get open a lot more because he just has to beat single coverage and get over the top. So I think they're going. I really think this offense is designed to attract attention to Kelsey to get other people open. And it's obvious to me that when he's not in the lineup, this team is definitely a shell of itself. So hopefully Kelsey's back next week, or hopefully this doesn't progress into a longer issue because, one, I have him on multiple fantasy teams, so I kind of want him to play. But also, it's going to be a long season in Kansas City if he's out for at any point this year. Like it's shown now. Anytime Kelsey's not on the field, that team's going to struggle.
Yeah, the Lions had a good defensive game plan. Like they got Aiden Hutchinson, they got a few young people in their secondary that have potential, but other than Aiden Hutchinson, there's no superstar names to jump off. They just had, they stacked the box with no Kelsey. They wanted to stop Pacheco in the running game the best they could and not let, like you said, MVS beat them deep. And it worked. They made them check the ball down they made Mahomes scramble and check it down a lot and just tackle them. Don't let them have any good run after the catch. And this might be a week 1 overreaction, but I'm going to say it. I think Dan Campbell is the top 5 head coach in the NFL, and I really do in the current state. And I'll give you some reasons. One, in our friend group specifically, I've seen multiple people in that group say that, who the Lions have outside of Amon-Ra. Well, the Lions were 1 game short of the playoffs last year after being terrible. So Dan Campbell has changed the culture of that team to where they're going like this for the first time in a while with, like, I'm just using their words, not much talent. So, he's got to be doing something right. He's a great motivator. You can tell the Lions really want to play for him. So, I think in the current NFL, he's a top 5 head coach.
And they do have talent. I don't understand the argument of the Lions not having any talent. Sam Laporta looked solid on Thursday. He was a fail-safe for Jared Goff in short yardage situations. Gibbs looked good in limited carries. He was really mostly out of the backfield as a receiving option and looked great. Montgomery looked fantastic as well. If Monty runs like that for the entire year, they're going to have no issues because if they're averaging 4.5, 5 yards a carry, it's not going to matter who to throw the ball to because they can put Amondra on the slot and run slant routes all day long and get open. So I mean, they have the weapons, they have the scheme to where they don't have to have that many. If they just play solid fundamental football and get short yardage situations, they can make it with the talent that they do have.
I'll tell you why that gets said about the Lions not having much talent. It's because you can never overvalue how important the trenches are, your O line and your D line. You can never overvalue that. It's so important to a team, and that is the Lions' strength is winning in the trenches. So
I mean,
that is why they've turned into a good football team.
that's why a team like the Eagles has been so successful too. I mean, golly,
Yeah,
I mean,
I mean,
Chase knows for a fact. Like, I mean, the O line, the D line's been so good that like, you have AJ. Obviously, you have AJ Brown and Devontae Smith, but even if you didn't, let's say you didn't have Devontae Smith, like you could make it work with you could plug and play with that offensive line on a
and D
weapons
line.
side, especially on the D line too.
Yeah, like they have the weapons. They got star power. They talking about the Eagles, but yeah, I think it was pretty obvious last year. Like AJ Devontae, they're the shiny toys of that team. Everybody wants to, and Jalen Hurts, doing his read option stuff. But the driving force of that team was their offense and their defensive lines. That's why they were so good. So I just don't think people understand how important that is, and I don't think you can ever overvalue offensive line.
One thing I will say about the Chiefs before we move on, because I don't want to spend too much more time on them,
Welcome.
there are free agent receivers that are available that are not very good, but I personally would take Jarvis Landry over Kadarius Toney where he's at right now. Um, I
I
mean,
mean,
he's not a. You got so many guys already that can blow the top off the defense. Why not just get a guy who can run routes and get open? He's
I,
not. You're not asking for 1,000 yards from the guy.
you're just asking him to catch the ball, and I can tell
Yeah,
you right now,
you can sign him on a
Jarvis
minimum.
Landry. I can tell you right now, Jarvis Landry has much better hands than Kadarius Toney.
Yeah,
I have better hands.
Yeah,
like I saw, like the top receivers left in free agency availables, like Jarvis, T.Y. Hilton, Denzel Mims, Julio Jones. I would take. I probably would only take Jarvis off that list. I don't think I'd take T.Y. Hilton or Denzel Mims, but I would definitely take Jarvis because Jarvis didn't play terrible last year when he was on the field. So, but yeah, that was Thursday night. Anybody have anything else to say, or are we going to move on?
fuck the Chiefs.
Yep, that's what I was going to say too.
Fuck the Chiefs. Okay. All right, moving on. So we're going to be talking about Sunday now. What we're going to do a little bit differently than we did last year. We spent a lot of time last year talking about every single game, and this year we're going to instead talk about 6 games each week. 3 of those games are going to be our team. So you're going to hear about the Saints game every week. You're going to hear about the Raiders game every week. You're going to hear about the Eagles game every week. At the same time, we're also going to find 3 games that we find interesting, maybe like the games of the week, whether that be the Monday night game or the Sunday night game or just a 3 o'clock game with some 2 really good teams. That's who we're going to talk about each week. We're going to run through all the teams. We're going to do a quick burn of everybody else, but that's how we're going to do it this year. So let's go ahead and start with one of those. Let's go ahead and start with the games that we can burn. And how we're going to do this is we're just going to tell you who we're picking and why. So first game on the slate is Carolina at Atlanta. So who do we have here in this game? Kind of an interesting game because both teams are very unproven.
It's a turd fest.
Yeah, this battle of the turds.
Um,
Who wants to go first? Let's
uh,
just every game. Let's just go Chase Kendall Wyatt.
damn, why
Boom, boom,
me?
boom.
All right, it's fine. I got I flipped the coin here and I picked the Falcons. No reason besides the coin told me so. So
Yep, battle of the turds, and I just think that the Falcons are the shinier turd. So I took the Falcons, and plus they're at home. That was the main reason why I picked them.
I picked the Falcons too, just because both defenses are on the same caliber. I like the offense in Atlanta just a little bit more. So
Kyle Pitts is going for 3 touchdowns.
he very well could. Young quarterbacks love tight ends.
I
Not
love
a
tight
chance.
ends too.
Not a chance in hell.
All right, moving on there. This is a game that could have arguably been on our games of the week, but it isn't. Cincinnati Cleveland.
Uh, I had the Browns winning this one. They're at home, and who knows what Joe Burrow's what was it
Calf.
his calf? Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows where that is? So I'm picking the Browns, and I think the Browns have won. What was the stat? They've won the majority of the past couple of games against the Bengals. So I expect that streak to continue.
I seen that too, and I seen that Burrow has struggled against the Browns in his career, and I was actually flip flopping this game too, but I decided to go with the Bengals, and I just think that they're gonna break the streak. But I expect this to be a very competitive and entertaining game.
I'm going to take the Bengals as well, just because until the Browns have proven that they've turned the corner with Deshaun, I'm not going to pick them over it. I know what I'm getting out of Burrow in Cincinnati. I don't know what I'm getting out of Cleveland week 1. So hopefully it doesn't look like week 1 last year where Joe Burrow threw like 4 picks against the Steelers. So, but other than that, I'm going to pick Cincinnati. But moving on, we got another turd fest almost. Well, one of the teams is a turd. We got Jacksonville going to Indy to play the Colts. Anthony Richardson's first game in the NFL. A lot of expectations for the Jaguars. So, Chase, who do you have winning this game?
This is probably going to be one of my closest locks of the week. I haven't decided what my lock of the week is going to be. This one's up there. I'm taking Jacksonville with an pretty easy dub.
Yep.
Kendall?
I think Chase knows exactly what I'm going to say whenever we're heading in these games, because this is my lock of the week. Jags over the Colts. I think the Colts are going to be terrible. I don't think they're going to be competitive at all.
All right. I also picked the Jaguars. I am curious to see. One thing that I am curious to see as a Saints fan, because we play Indy later on in the year, is how Anthony Richardson does with his legs. Like how much is he going to run? Because that could bode a problem for any team. Just that's how athletic he is. But I don't think it's going to be enough regardless. But I'm just curious to see how he does. But I got Jacksonville winning this one pretty convincingly too. But moving on to the NFC side, we got Tampa Bay going to Minnesota to play at home against Minnesota. Chase, who do we have?
Yeah, so Tampa's going to be probably one of the worst teams in the NFC. Minnesota is probably going to be one of the most average teams in the NFC. Minnesota's playing at home, so I'm taking Minnesota because Kirk Cousins is playing at 1 p.m. Eastern time, so that's when Kirk Cousins plays at his best. So, give me the Vikings.
Yeah, I want to start by saying I think the Vikings are not as good as their record showed last year. They had a lot of close games go their way, which is, I mean, that's a good trait to have as a team. But I think they will take a step back. But I'm still taking them over the Bucks. Same reason as the Colts. I don't see the Bucks being competitive.
Yep. I'm picking Minnesota too, purely because they're playing at home. To be perfectly honest with you, if they were playing at Tampa Bay, I'd pick the Buccaneers in this game. I think they're the luckiest team in the NFC, like we said. I think Minnesota tends to play down to their competition a lot of times, and then have to claw themselves out of a hole. And it'll be interesting to see the quarterback situation in Tampa Bay, but Tampa Bay's defense is better than Minnesota's defense by a lot, and we'll see how that bodes well. I could see this being a low-scoring game because Tampa Bay's offense isn't good, and Tampa Bay's defense is good. So we'll just see how that goes. But I got Minnesota. All right, moving on to another game here. We have San Francisco at Pittsburgh.
All right, I thought about this. I thought about this long and hard, and I'm taking the Steelers at home, and I think so. My reason is I don't trust Brock Purdy because he's like he had a solid year last year, and I feel like he's unproven. But then again, you could also on the flip side of it, you could say, well, Kenny Pickett's also unproven. But I don't know. I feel like the Steelers are going to win. I feel like the 49ers aren't as good as they like as much credit as they get. I feel like they're not as good as what people think they are. But give me the Steelers at home.
Yeah, so I don't know. I can't remember if it was yesterday or the day before, but Jake had sent that graphic of like the top 10 rosters in the NFL, and the Steelers were number 10. And there was a few people that commented like, how are they on there?
Me.
And yeah, well, I was at work, so I didn't want to jump in a conversation because I was trying to get home that day. But I agree with that actually. I think if you look at the Steelers roster around Kenny Pickett, they are, I don't say loaded, but they're very good, and they have a lot of young talent. And Mike Tomlin always has that defense playing more than what they actually are. They every single year. So I'm with Chase on this. This is the game that I've been going back and forth on, and I switched right before the pod. I'm taking the Steelers at home in an upset, and my reasoning was that and the Steelers last year. Once Kenny Pickett got settled in for a few games, he didn't put up like crazy stats, but the Steelers as a team kind of getting hot towards the end of the year. So
He was solid.
yeah, he was solid after his first couple games. So I'm taking the Steelers at home in an upset here.
All right. This game scares me on a betting standpoint, but I still bet on it regardless. Um, this game to me has the biggest upset potential out of any game this week, just because of all the points you guys have said about the Steelers, but primarily Chase's point about Brock Purdy. The man made an NFC Championship game, but I'm still questioning whether it's just hard to tell with Brock Purdy because we haven't had a 16 game sample size, and we haven't seen him play bad. That's the
Coming off an
thing.
injury.
I want to see Brock Purdy play bad to see what his floor is because I think we've seen his ceiling. His ceiling's a game manager that passes for a great percentage and he manages the game, just like Jimmy Garoppolo in a way. But I'll rest my case there. But now looking at it, I can't convince myself to just pull the trigger on the Steelers. I picked San Francisco. I think the defense is going to be too much. Especially with guys like Hargrave and Bosa being in the lineup this week because he signed his contract. I will say this. There is not if Pittsburgh wins, I'm not going to be shocked. But if Pittsburgh does win, it's going to be a low-scoring, grind-out kind of game. It's not going to be like a 35-32, kind of win. Like it's going to be like kind of like the Chiefs and Lions game, like 21-20, something like that. 21-17, something in that range, just because I feel like both defenses will show up. It's about which offense is going to show up the most is going to be the winner of that game. So, all right. Moving on to next game down here. Arizona at Washington. I'm going to go ahead, Chase.
I'm never going to pick the Cardinals, so give me the Commanders. They're at no point in the season will ever pick the Cardinals, so we can just.
Yeah, I don't see myself picking the Cardinals either. As of right now, I think I've said this a couple times already on this podcast, but I think they will be the worst team in the NFL. Not one of. I think they'll be the worst team. So yeah, Commanders.
They have a shot to go 0-17. They do have
really
a real good shot.
Yeah.
If they do win a game, it's going to be in the division. It'll probably be the Rams.
Maybe.
I don't even think they beat the Rams.
We'll see. I love Josh Dobbs as a human, but as a football player, he's not very good. This is my lock of the week. It's boring, but I'm picking Washington to beat Arizona.
It was mine too.
The thing about lock of the weeks are, though, you can only pick one team one time. So, like, next week we can't pick Arizona. I can't pick Arizona every week, so.
Yeah.
But, Chase, did I steal yours? Do I need to pick another one, or?
No, we got the same one. I mean, I don't care.
I'll pick a different one. I got another one that I like. But I'll give you that one. So just to keep remembering, Kendall picked the Colts game. That's his lock. Jacksonville winning. You got the Cardinals beating the Commanders. And then moving on from.
Oh, hold on.
Or no, the Commanders beating the Cardinals. That sounds like my lock of the week. Give me the Cardinals. No.
Yeah. No.
But moving on from there, we got another game that could potentially be interesting to see. Houston at Baltimore. Rookie quarterback C.J. Stroud. Seeing how he's going to come out and play. I'm not saying interesting in terms of Houston has a chance to win this game. I'm saying interesting in the fact that it's a rookie quarterback playing his first NFL game. So it's going to be interesting to see C.J. Stroud and how he comes out and plays. It'll also be weird to see Lamar Jackson play football. It feels like I haven't seen him play in like a year and a half, it feels like, because he's been hurt so much.
He's also elite.
He is elite. But who do we got? I think I know, but let's go ahead and run through it anyway.
I got the Ravens, but I'm also excited to see Will Anderson play. So,
yeah, I don't see how this game's gonna be exciting. Lamar Jackson has he's been known for lighting it up week one, and I have him as my fantasy quarterback, and now he's playing the Texans week one. So I'm gonna say Lamar Jackson has a career day, and the Ravens blow the Texans out.
pump the brakes. Pump the brakes.
No, I'm not.
All right.
We're pumping.
Just real quick.
I'm not.
Give me Baltimore because it's Baltimore, and that will be my lock of the week. I'm locking Baltimore over Houston. So,
That's fair.
moving from there, we got an interesting game. This game's going to be interesting, I think. Green Bay at Chicago, 325. Two teams coming into this season with really different expectations, really different situations, but I feel like for some reason they're right on the same level, and I don't know why. But Chase, if you want to start, who do you have?
They aren't on the same level because the Bears have Justin Fields, and he is going to be the X factor in this game. Bear down. Give me the Bears by like 21. If I didn't pick the Commanders to win, this is my lock of the week. So give me the Bears.
Oh my God. Okay, Kendall, who do you got?
This is a great matchup for the Bears. Week one again, and I never thought I'd say that Bears Packers, and that's a good matchup for the Bears. But yeah, I'm taking the Bears at home.
Bear down.
And I agree with you, White. I think that the Packers were up here and the Bears were down here, obviously. And without Aaron Rodgers and the few additions the Bears made, I think it's went like that. So I think they're the same level team. So I'm taking the Bears.
Yep.
Good
I
pick.
think the X factor of this game is going to be Jordan Love. How is Jordan Love going to play? If he plays shitty, they're going to get blown out. If he plays well, it's going to be a tight game.
Time out.
what?
I think so. Christian Watson's out for sure.
Yeah,
Dobbs
And
is questionable.
Dobbs is questionable. So
Yep.
who is he going to throw to?
Robert Tunyon's going to get about 14 receptions for 220 yards. He probably run a lot too. They'll probably go
Yeah.
through Jones.
They drafted a tight end.
Who?
Yeah.
Who was it?
What's his name?
Musgrave. Luke Musgrave.
Yeah, Musgrave.
I'm picking him up on the waiver wire right now.
But they'll probably run Aaron out a lot too, out wide, like out of the backfield,
Wait,
and let Dylan take most of the actual
I
running
bet
back
somebody.
work.
He was a second round pick. I bet somebody picked him in our fantasy draft, Chase. I
Yeah.
don't think he's on waivers.
wait. Robert Tunyon's a free agent, or he played for
is
the
he really?
Bears. He played for the Bears.
Oh, that's funny. Okay, Tunyon plays for the Bears then.
Yeah, Robert Tunyon's going for 10 catches.
Yeah. Well, that's fine because I have Chicago winning this game. I think Justin's going to be a little bit too much for the Packers defense to handle. I think he's going to be able to get around them and really create with his legs, and I think that's going to be what puts them over the top. So, all right, we got two more games I think to talk about. Let me just make sure here. I don't want to talk about one week.
Just
One more.
Just one more.
One
Then
more.
We get to our, then we get to our six.
Then it's Seattle and LA. LA coming to Seattle to play. Probably, arguably the second. I'm going to be honest when I say this. I think the Rams are the worst built franchise in the league right now. Not it, because at least the Cardinals have draft capital to work with.
Yeah, for the future. Yeah, they
Yep.
are.
So Chase, you want to go ahead?
Give me the Seahawks. But here's what I'm going to say before the season starts. I do think last year for Gino wasn't fluky because I think he's a solid, like okay quarterback, but I do think he overachieved last year. And so what you saw last year, don't expect it this year because I don't think it's going to happen. But give me the Seahawks. I think the Seahawks are going to be a very average team, but average in the NFC is good enough to make the playoffs. So, give me the Seahawks.
Yeah, Seahawks are clearly the better team right now and better for the future. I know there's no Cooper Cup. I know they've lost a lot of people, but I did think about picking this as an upset just to give myself another upset just because of Sean McVay, but I didn't. I'm gonna go with the Seahawks. I just think that those receivers are gonna tear up their secondary, their young secondary, way too much.
Yep, I have the Seahawks winning this game too. I'm actually a pretty firm believer in Geno Smith. I had him in fantasy last year, so I fell in love with him. Um, I think that offense has all the tools it needs to be successful, and Geno just has to not fuck it up. And I think he's pretty good at doing so. He doesn't have to create with his legs. He can just sit in the pocket and make good decisions. They have a great line that's young that can protect him on either side on the tackles. They have very good receiving core, obviously with DK and Tyler. So I think they're going to be fine. I think you're going to get about the same. I think this is a 10 to 12 win team, just because their division you get 4 free wins right there. I don't think this team's just going to go out and not win 6 to 7 games outside of that. So that's how I got Seattle. So moving on, these are our 6 games of the week that we're going to be talking about a little more in depth. And I'm just going to read them in the order that we typed them out in the group. So Broncos Raiders is the first one. And I say for this one, let's leave Kendall for last because it's his team. I'll start because I'm just going to be honest here. I picked. We're going to explain our pick before, right? And then say who we picked, or we're going to pick and then explain.
Hey,
Whatever
just,
you're feeling. Whatever
just
you're
go with the
feeling.
flow,
Okay.
baby.
I'm just going to tell you this. I picked Las Vegas to win this game. And I'm going to tell you why. This defense isn't that bad. Secondary, okay. It's not great. It's not terrible. I like the pass rush with Crosby. I feel like he's going to be able to get there regardless if he's on the field. Linebacker, you still got the same linebackers from last year, right? You didn't lose anybody in that part of the team.
We lost Denzel Perryman, but we signed Robert Spillane from the Steelers. So yeah, same player.
So essentially, the defense doesn't. I'm not saying it's a liability. It's not great. It's not bad. So I think they're going to be about average. What I think is the real thing here is I don't think this offense is that bad. Colt Miller, one of the best left tackles in the game. The line's going to be decent. Jimmy Garoppolo does one thing well, and that is throw the ball short for a high percentage. And you have Devontae Adams to get open over the middle of the field. That's easy money all day long. Michael Mayer, I think, is going to be very solid. And Jimmy Garoppolo loves tight ends. And Michael Mayer is going to have, and Austin Hooper, right?
Yep.
So you have 2 tight ends, one proven, one not, to be able to get open.
Yeah, real quick, timeout, real quick.
Yep.
Just to help y'all's breakdown, it's expected to be Hooper Mayer 50-50 to start the year, and then the expectation is Mayer takes over the role like around the halfway through the year.
Yeah. You got Renfro in the slot back after a rough year last year. I think the really big thing in this game is Jacobs. If Jacobs can control the pace of this game and really get good yardage on first and second down, there's no doubt in my mind they win this game. I don't think it's as one-sided as people are looking at it, because I think some people are like, oh, Denver isn't very good, but the Raiders suck, so we're going to pick Denver. That's the way they're looking at it. I think they're looking at Denver just is here, and the Raiders are way down here, but I think the Raiders are more like right in here and have more of a potential to go up than Denver does. I think Denver's ceiling isn't as high as the Raiders' ceiling in this game, so that's why I have Las Vegas.
Are you predicting the Raiders are going to be in the Super Bowl this year? Is that what you're predicting?
No.
Is that their ceiling? Okay. You heard it here first. All right.
Oh yeah, I forgot I picked Denver to be in the Super Bowl. They're not gonna. That's not gonna be from week 1. That's for sure.
Well, this is backward, isn't it? But
the Raiders have a higher ceiling than the Broncos, but the Broncos are going to be in the Super Bowl.
Okay, let's be real.
You can't go much higher.
Let's be real. That's a dream scenario for Denver making the Super Bowl. The Saints, that's a different story.
It's a dream scenario as well. But.
No, that's just ball.
All right. Not gonna lie to you. I picked the Broncos, but Wyatt kind of talked me out of that pick, so I'm gonna go with the Raiders. They signed Marcus Epps, which is a very solid pickup for their defense. Marcus Epps will not be this flashy player in the secondary, but he'll be a very solid player. And if you actually watch the game and you got on TV, Marcus Epps will come out of frame and light somebody up because he tries to hurt somebody every time he plays.
I'm gonna be watching that game. That's the 325 game I'm gonna watch probably.
That will be the game I won't watch.
Yeah, I was about to say this is
Yeah,
Billy's
so
on the same time.
yeah. So, but the offense for the Raiders is solid. I mean, Jimmy G is a question mark. And we know what we can get with Jimmy G just because we've seen him in the past five or so years. He's a great game manager, but I don't know. He has good weapons, so who knows where he could go this year. But I don't know. I think Denver's overrated because I think everybody's putting too much stock in Sean Payton, and Sean Payton kind of sucks, in my opinion. I know you're not going to agree with that, Wyatt, but he kind of sucks. He got carried by Drew Brees, and he's also an asshole. So fuck him. But give me the Raiders.
Let me say one thing.
Raider baby.
There you go. I love it.
Just win.
I want to say one thing before I break down this specific game. Kind of what Wyatt hinted to. I am proceeding with caution about our defense because in my lifetime we've never had a good defense ever.
Yeah.
So until I see it, I will not believe that we have a good defense. But I'm proceeding with caution because we did make some solid additions and draft picks that could potentially work out. That's all I'm going to say. All right. So now to this game. We have owned the Broncos for 3 straight years. We've won 6 in a row. I don't expect anything to change, obviously. I'm a Raiders fan. It should be expected, I'm going to say this. I almost thought about having this as my lock of the week. I really did, just because we own the Broncos. That is the only reason why. If you look up the Raiders-Broncos in Josh Jacobs' career, he owns them. I know he hasn't had a training camp or whatever, but he may not be in football shape, but he's in shape. He stayed in shape. He did his work. He is going to maybe not get 25 carries like he did almost every game last year, it felt like. But he's going to get about 17, 18. And I think that's going to be plenty because he owns this franchise. So I'm not worried about our offense at all. I honestly think we have a top 10 offense. And you might be saying, well, how can you have a top 10 offense with Jimmy G? Well, if you look at the team around Jimmy G, our offense is pretty loaded. I'm not going to lie. It's just our defense has not proved anything. Like, we have Devontae Jacobs. That's the best running back wide receiver duo in the NFL. I don't think there's one that comes close. And then Jacoby Myers, Hunter Renfrow are good complements to Devontae. And we drafted Michael Mayer second round. I'm not worried about this offense. Defense has got to show up. We have to shut down this Sean Payton, Russell Wilson narrative that he's going to revive Russell Wilson's career. That's not going to happen. Russ is literally cooked. The saying, let Russ cook. No, he is cooked. So
Samaje Perine goes for 250 yards on the ground. That'd be some shit.
Yeah. So
Surtain locks up Devontae Adams.
So their offensive line is good. I'll give that to them. But they don't have Judy. Javonte just tore his ACL. So it's going to be probably a 50-50 split with a questionable Javonte and a Perine. I'm not worried about that. We need to just shade Marcus Epps to Cortland Sutton's side, help out Jacorian Bennett, our second-round rookie corner, and just do not let Sutton beat us, and nobody else on this offense scares me. That's it. So,
dude, don't dismiss Samaje Perine, dude. That man's a menace.
He's ass.
That man, every time Joe Mixon was hurt, that man put up 16 to 20 points fantasy every time.
Yeah, I hope they try to run. I really do. I hope they run right at Max Crosby because that'll be a good day for the Raiders defense. But yeah, I don't expect anything to change. We've owned the Broncos, and we're going to make it 4 straight years of sweeps.
All right. There's game 1. All right. I'll go ahead and start game 2, and then we'll end with Chase. This is the Eagles and Pats. I got the Eagles winning this game. I have no belief in the New England Patriots at this point. I don't care who they brought in. I don't care who they lost. I truly think that this team with Mac Jones as its quarterback just there's only so far it can go. And one thing that I'm a firm believer in when it comes to young quarterbacks is keeping competition out of the room. The Buffalo Bills, for example, did a really good job with this when they had Tyrod, when they brought in Allen, and they got rid of Tyrod. So Allen knew it was his room, right? Mac Jones has been had his first year. There was the Newton shit, and then they brought in Zappy, and Zappy took over, and then Mac was in, and then Zappy was in. That there's not a quarterback in this league that can succeed in that kind of situation. So then they bring in Malik Cunningham, and he does good this year in the preseason. And then they cut them both, and I'm thinking, hey, Bill's finally saying, hey, we're going to let Mac cook. He's our guy. We're getting rid of the competition to solidify that. No. Brought him back on the practice squad. Zappy got activated to the 53-man yesterday. So we're same old shit. And when you got that impending doom looming over your shoulder every time you take the field, that if I fuck up one too many times, I'm getting benched. You can't develop properly that way. And I think that's one of the reasons why this team is struggling and will continue to struggle, especially against a team like the Eagles, where it really doesn't matter if Mac was the only quarterback or not. The Eagles are just that much better. So I just wanted to shit on the Patriots for a second, but I'm going with the Eagles. Kendall.
Yeah, this is going to be the only time I do this. I'm going to let Chase have more time to break this down. I think the Eagles' defense is. I know they lost people, but the Patriots' offense sucks. I think the Eagles' defense is going to embarrass them, and I don't see this game being close. So, with that being said, Eagles in a blowout. All right, Chase, you have the floor.
I hope so. I really hope so. So let's talk about this real quick. If you want to compare the matchup between the Patriots offense and the Eagles defense, in my opinion, the only weapon that the Patriots have is Ramondre Stevenson, and he's questionable with the illness, so we don't know if he's going to play or not. And then behind him is Zeke, and Zeke is a offensive lineman who carries the ball sometimes. So
you got a lot of experience playing against Zeke.
Yeah, but he's cooked now. He's officially he's done. He's cooked. And I don't know if you saw that. I don't know if I saw that picture in the group chat, but he looks pretty big. I know they have him listed at 225 on NFL.com and ESPN. He looks like 250, 240. So he's huge. You have a wide receiver. I think you have Devontae Parker. You got Juju, and that's all I can think of right now because they lost Jacoby Myers. So who's Mac Jones going to throw it to? They got Mike Gesicki now, Gesicki, and he's just a slow slot receiver. He's not a tight end because he can't block. So that offense doesn't scare me at all. And to piggyback off what you said, yeah, we lost some players, but we replaced Javon Hargrave with Jalen Carter, who is more well-rounded, in my opinion, than Javon Hargrave. He was great at pass rushing, but when it came to run defense, he was a liability. Where I feel like Jalen Carter he can do both. Linebacker, we lost TJ Edwards, who ran a 4.8 as a linebacker. That's not good in today's NFL. We replaced him with Nakobe Dean, who is a lot faster, and he has, in my opinion, really high IQ for the game. And the safety is really the only concern in my opinion. So we had the advantage on that side. If you flip it, offense versus defense, the Eagles' offense is, in my opinion, going to be one of the best offenses in the NFL. Just because look who we have. We have a wide receiver duo that could be top 2, top 3, depending on how you want to look at it. With Devontae Smith and AJ Brown, we got Dallas Goedert, who is as solid as they come when it comes to tight ends. Probably top 5 tight end if he can stay healthy. Then you look at the running backs. We got DeAndre Swift. We got Rashad Penny. Got Kenny Gainwell and Boston Scott. Who, solid committee. And then, of course, the offensive line is probably the best in the NFL. It's hard to bet against the Eagles. I feel like at any point in this year, that sounds like a homer pick. But, give me the Eagles. I don't think it'll be a blowout because Bill Belichick is what he is. He's a great defensive-minded coach, and I'm sure he's going to throw some stuff towards Jalen Hurts' way, try to confuse him. But I don't think it'll be a blowout. But give me the Eagles.
Hey, one more thing. Uh, I like Bill Belichick. I think he's a genius. Um, but his the thing he's always been known for is taking your best player away, and the Eagles just have too many players just to hone in on one. So if his game plan is to stop AJ Brown, Smitty's going for 150. If his game plan is to stop the running game with that offensive line that they have leading the charge, well then both of your receivers are going to just go off. So he's always been notorious for taking who he thinks is the best player out of the game, and the Eagles just have too many weapons. He's not going to be able to do that.
All right. Well, next game on the list is the Titans coming to the Superdome in New Orleans to play New Orleans Saints. So, whoever wants to go first, you can go ahead and.
I'll start this one. Um, I'm gonna just say that yes, I love Derek Carr, but I think he goes off, and that's not because I love Derek Carr. It is because this Titans secondary is is pretty bad. They gave up the most deep passes in the NFL last year. I think it was 15 yards or further. The Titans gave up the most last year, and that is one of Derek Carr's strengths is throwing the ball down the field accurately. And he's got a shiny new toy and Chris Olave. Last year with us, Waller and Renfro were on and off the field, so he only had Tay. If MT could stay on the field and complement Olave, I think this offense can be pretty explosive when Kamara comes back. But he won't be here in this game, but I don't think it's going to matter because the Titans secondary is so bad. Then when you flip it, uh, Derrick Henry is still good. I still think he's a top 5 running back, but I think he's definitely declining. And in that Saints Superdome that's going to be rocking, I think the Titans offense is just going to struggle, and the Saints are going to get ahead. So I don't think Henry is going to be as useful as he could be because I don't think they're going to be able to run the ball as much. And that plays right into the Saints' hands because the Titans' passing game is always their question mark. So I think the Saints win, and I think it's by we'll go 2 touchdowns. We'll go by 14.
Yeah, mine's gonna be pretty short. Give me the Titans. Fuck you, Wyatt. Tighten up. Um, that's all I got.
All right. Okay. Let me get my bag real quick. All right. I'm going to tell you why the Saints are going to win. There's a couple reasons. First, I'm going to start with the building. Yes, the Superdome is loud. Everyone knows that. But Steve Gleason, it's like they're recognizing Steve Gleason before the game. If you don't know who Steve Gleason is, the most iconic moment in Saints history up until we won the Super Bowl in 2009 was the first home game after Hurricane Katrina when we blocked Falcons' punt back into the end zone and we scored. And that's what started the whole rise of the Saints up until 2009, essentially. Steve Gleason that's the guy who blocked that punt. Then he proceeds to get ALS, so he no longer plays football, obviously. He's in a wheelchair. But they're honoring him before the game. He's a really big charitable person in the city of New Orleans to people with ALS around the country. And he's like that one guy that it's almost like bringing Derek Jeter back to Yankee Stadium.
Ooh.
Okay. It's like bringing and we got Colin Saunders out of Kansas City, both known for stopping the run. We brought in our defensive line in free agency to literally their goal is to stop the run. I think we're going to be able to hopefully keep Derrick Henry under a buck 50. Like if Henry rushes for 110 yards in this game, I'm satisfied because it's Henry. They're going to run 25 times with him, So at that point we're keeping them under 4.5 yards carry. If we can keep under 4.5 yards carry, that's a win in my book. I think our offense is going to annihilate them. Like it is going to be the headlines after this game is going to be holy shit, the Saints are better than we thought they were. Because I truly think this offense is going to explode. I think Derek, like you said, I think we'll win by 14 easily. I think Derek Carr is going to go nuclear with this offense, and I'm just super excited to see this new look Saints. The team feels different. There's a lot more on the offense. There's a lot of leadership that the team has lacked in recent years. The defense has always had it with Demario Davis and Cameron Jordan, but having guys like Foster Moreau and Graham back and Derek Carr, like those are those character guys in that offense that I think will really bring the team together. So I have the Saints winning by 1,000,000. So moving on, we got Dolphins Chargers. I think personally this is the game of the week. Um, Monday night arguably too, but I think this game's going to be insanely good. But Chase, who do you have winning this game?
This one's about as even as you can get as far as matchups go. To me, I don't know. I have the Chargers picked, but I don't feel like super confident in it. I think I picked based on like the quarterback matchup. I feel like Herbert's just a little bit better quarterback than Tua is, but to be clear, I don't think Herbert's a great quarterback. Justin Herbert is very, very overrated. But I just Chargers are at home. It's a toss up, and this is like the hardest episode to really like preview because we don't know anything really.
Yeah,
We just
haven't seen anything.
we know what they did last year, and we know what people are saying about them.
Who
But
they had and who they lost.
yeah, that's all we know. And so it's just hunch, it's just gut, and my gut told me the Chargers, and so that's where I went.
Yeah, I went with the Dolphins. You could probably guess even game, and if it's a division rival with the Raiders, I'm going to go with the other team. Uh, I'm interested to see if the Chargers' run defense gets any better. I know the Dolphins don't have no studs back there. They got Mostert, but Chargers the last few years they've been giving up a lot of yards per carry, and you can run on them. So uh, they're gonna have to worry about Tyreek and Waddle, so they're not gonna be able to stack the box to try to help that narrative. So the front seven or six, if they're running nickel for the Chargers, gonna have to step up because I don't think the Dolphins will be afraid to run the ball to set up play actions to get it to their playmakers out wide. And you flip it. The Dolphins' defense is getting a lot of hype. I've been seeing a lot of TikToks saying that their defense is going to be great this year. So again, that's one thing that is it's questionable. We'll just have to see. But yeah, I actually expect this to be a high scoring game, and I've got the Dolphins winning because fuck the Chargers.
Welcome.
All right. I think this game again is going to be really close. Like you said, Kendall, it's going to be interesting to see how the Miami running back committee does. I'm really interested to see Devon A-Chain play. He's kind of the rookie running back that people are wondering, is he going to be that guy that takes a step forward and becomes the leader of that room? I think he can. I think both offenses are very similar in terms of skill. Tua and Herbert, in my opinion. Herbert's better, but not by a whole hell of a lot. Waddle and Hill are slightly better than Williams and Allen. But I do think that Eckler is miles better than the running back committee in Miami. So I think they kind of get really close there on the offensive side. The defensive side, both defenses have big names. You got Bosa, Kendricks, Mack, those guys. You got Chubb and Ramsey over on Miami. So I do think that the Chargers are going to pull this one out. It's going to be a close game. I really think it's going to come down to whoever has the ball last. And I'm just saying that the Chargers are going to have the ball last, essentially. All
I'm
right.
riding with the Dolphins by myself, baby. Let's go.
All right. Second to last game here. We got Dallas at the Giants.
Fun, very fun. Uh, so obviously, two of the Eagles' biggest rivals. So it's not a fun pick to make, but let me say this: the Giants are very overrated. I don't know if it's just this show particular that overrates them, or if it's just the national media. But
I'm on Daniel Jones' TikTok now
here,
somehow.
here we are. So as you can see, White loves him some DJ and some Brian Dayball, and let's say this game right here, I don't love him. Give me Dallas. I think Dallas is probably the second best team in the NFC, behind the Eagles. I know I placed them 3 in my power rankings last week, but the more I think about it, the more I feel like this NFC sucks. The NFC is bad. The NFC is really bad, and the Giants are also bad. Will Saquon be able to? Will he be elite still? He has a lot of wear and tear on his body. He's like what 26, 27. So like he's getting up there and running back age. That's old. That's very old. Daniel Jones has. Can he even like do what he did last year and not like take care of the ball? I don't know. I don't think he will be able to. I think last year was probably the best you're ever going to get from Daniel Jones. And fuck Brian Daboll. He sucks. He's the ass coach. He will never achieve anything in the NFL past a playoff win. So fuck him. And can't wait to play them. But give me Dallas.
All right. I'll go next
All
because
right.
I went last the last 3 times. Okay. So up until 45 seconds ago, I had the Cowboys. I'm picking the Giants now, and here's why.
You fucked up.
I very well could. I could see this is a classic Sunday night game. 2 NFC East teams. This game's probably going to be like 2017. Whoever wins, last second field goal, kind of, like very stereotypical Sunday night shit. Here's why I think that. I have no belief in Tony Pollard. I don't have any belief in Tony Pollard. I think he was a change of pace back, and Zeke took a primary load. And I was listening to people talk about it, about how they don't think Pollard can handle 25 carries a game, 20, 25 carries a game, and I don't think he can. He's small, and I don't think he's going to last a full football game and be as effective as he was when someone like Zeke was sitting there in the trenches. I don't believe in Tony Pollard in between the tackles at all. And now, caveat to that, their passing game's obviously very solid. I think that's what will win them the game if they do win. But I do think over the course of this game, as the game gets further along, if the Giants can stay in the mix and they can stay close, because that defense is no slouch. They're not a terrible defense. Their offense is probably the biggest question mark. You got Waller in there. I think this team can keep it competitive, but I think that the Cowboys, as the game gets farther down the line, are going to get worse in the run game and become very one-dimensional. And I think in the NFL, if you become one-dimensional, especially late in games, that's how you can get beat. Look at the Chiefs. They just stopped running the ball, it felt, the entire second half of that game.
Well, they're ass. So,
But I think that I truly do think, like Chase made a great point about the Cowboys, I think they can win this game. But I do think the Giants also have a way to win this game, and I think it's going to fall on the back of, can Tony Pollard stay consistent? I don't think Tony Pollard's going to be a 4.5 to 5 yard carry guy, of course, a whole football game. So I have the Giants.
I like Tony Pollard. I was very high on him heading into our fantasy draft, and if Josh Jacobs was coming off the board to me at pick 12, I would have had Garrett Wilson and Tony Pollard instead of Garrett Wilson and Jacobs, but I took Jacobs, obviously. But if he was coming off the board, I was taking Pollard. So I think he's going to be good. I think he's going to be just fine, as long as that leg's okay. I know. A broken leg is still a bad injury, but that's much better than tearing a ligament in the NFL. He'll be able to bounce back.
I don't know. It sounds pretty bad.
I will say I've broken a leg. I lost some speed the the limited speed I had.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, a broken leg's a horrible injury, but in the NFL, athletes like that, a ligament's much worse. And
I mean,
I
I
think
went from like 4.8 to 4.95.
You were
So
you were never in the
let,
fours.
let's get at least somewhat realistic here, Wyatt. At
okay, I
least
went
like
from I went
seven
from
five.
12. No, I went from 12.15 to 13 flat.
Well, back to the game. Um, Wyatt has actually made me a believer in Brian Dable.
Stop.
Da-
Stop.
Daniel Jones still sucks. He had a fluke year. This team is overrated as hell, and they're going to take a step back. And like you said, you think it's going to be a divisional game, Sunday Night Football. It's going to be competitive and close. I think it'll be competitive and close for 2.5 quarters, and then the Cowboys pull out ahead. And they're just a more talented team, better roster. You know, like Chase said, they're very minimum top 3 team in the NFC, like however you want to go. So I think they pull away late and put this game out of reach, and I think they're just too much for the Giants. So I'm taking the Cowboys.
All right, final game of the evening will be Monday night. Bills travel to New Jersey to play the New York Jets. It's kind of ironic, but in New Rutherford, who will be the winner? Chase.
Give me the Mar Hamlin led Buffalo Bills. That was supposed to be a joke, kind of laugh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I saw that, and I just was like, "Damn it, Chase, come on!"
All right. Anyway, yeah, I think I said it last week. That I think Aaron Rodgers is cooked, and I don't know. I feel like the Jets are a little overhyped. I don't have any reasons behind it because, like I said, this is the hardest episode to kind of predict anything really, because we don't know we don't know anything at all other than what we saw in Hard Knocks, right? But yeah, I don't believe in the Jets until they show me something. I also don't believe in the Bills too much either. I feel like out of the AFC is going to be the Bengals that's going to win it all. But give me the Bills. I feel like I don't know. I just want to see what the Jets can do, and then obviously I might just regret what I said today. And but for now, give me the Bills.
All right, Kendall, who you got?
So me and Chase have seen eye to eye this whole pod, and I think this is probably the first time we are on opposite ends of the spectrum. I do believe the Jets hype. I just think Aaron Rodgers, with what was it, a broken thumb or a fractured thumb last year?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, with no weapons. You know, he didn't have anybody other than his running back, Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon. He didn't have anybody he could rely on to throw the ball to. And now he's got the Offensive Rookie of the Year, Garrett Wilson. He did bring the one guy he can, in his words, trust, Lazard, over. He can be a good 2. He just wasn't a good 1 at Green Bay. So I do think the Jets will be good. I believe in their hype. I believe in their defense. I think their defense is great, and Robert Saleh is a good coach. And this is my personal game of the week. I think this will be the best game. And the Bills have something to play for. You know, with how Chase said. I do think they're maybe not heading into this year because the hype slowed down. But I did say they were overhyped heading into last year, and nobody liked that. And it turned out to be true. But I think now they're kind of their hype is about what it should be. These are 2 good teams in my opinion, but I'm going to stick with what I said last week and today, how I said I'm believing in the Jets. So I'm taking the Jets at home.
All right. So going into this conversation, I was leaning 100% one way. Now looking at something just a second ago made me kind of iffy. And essentially what I looked at was the Bills defense. Because in my opinion, the Bills offense, it's Diggs. Diggs is the offense there. That's the failsafe. That's who he's going to go through. Obviously Dawson Knox and Dalton Kincaid are options as well, but you got Stephon Diggs versus Sauce Gardner. They'll probably shade over some help. I think Diggs is going to have a long night. That leads the Bills to have to try to find a really tough way to score because the defensive line for the Jets is very good. At the same token, there are a lot of weapons across the board for the Jets offense, right? You got Dalvin and Brees and Michael Carter, and you got obviously the receiver weapons that we talked about. But man, you go look at that Bills depth chart on defense. They are a lot. They have a lot of people back. Micah Hyde's back. Jordan Poyer's back. Tre'Davious White's back. You got Matt Milano over the middle. You got Rousseau, Ed Oliver in the middle, right there on the defensive line. They essentially just don't have Von Miller. And they brought in Leonard Floyd, and they have Puna Ford at the backup D tackle, and AJ Espinosa, who's young. And I feel like it's going to be hard for the Jets to score at the same time. But I'm still going to pick the Jets because they have more talent to cycle through as the game gets longer through. Because like I said, and we've said this on the podcast before, he's very similar to like an Amari Cooper. If Stephon Diggs goes through those first 2 drives and gets locked up by Sauce Gardner, he's going to get pissed the fuck off, and it's going to throw the whole vibe of that offense off, and it's only going to make it worse. So I think that this is going to be a low-scoring game. I don't know what the over-under is, but I would hammer the under because both defenses are very solid right now because there's no injuries. It's week 1. Obviously, if this was week 10, 12, it'd probably be a lot clearer on who the winner would be. But I think this game, I don't think any team scores more than 24 points. And I'm going to take the Jets at home.
Good pick.
All right. Well, with that being said, we have picked all the games for week 1. Boys, it's going to be a fun one. Watching and seeing how this goes. Obviously,
Football is back.
Football is back, we haven't seen any of our, any meaningful snaps yet except for Thursday, and it's going to be really cool to see where a lot of these teams lie. I mean, I think it'll be interesting to see next week when we record again what the conversation is going to look like because so many storylines are going to erupt after this first week. So if you've made it this far with us, we appreciate you watching, and we will catch you next week on Hydro & Co. Go Saints.
Raider Nation.
Go Birds.